All right. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first Mean Gene show of 2025. And I am not in the studio, as you can tell, because it's tough to get away from the action of week 18, especially when you got a big game tonight featuring the Jets. I'm sorry, the Lions and the Vikings. This is going to be great. So, anyway, no Jacob Meadows this evening, but I do have my man right there in the studio, and that would be my producer, AJ. Happy New Year, AJ.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year's, Gene. Hoping 2025 is a blessed one for you.
It did start off as a good blessed one, AJ. Oh my goodness, man. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened. Look, this show originally was supposed to be done in Los Angeles. I was supposed to have been at the Rams and the Seahawks game today, and I we just was going to have this exciting show from Los Angeles. Uh, but I never left the state of Texas. My plane was delayed a couple of times, and it got canceled. And then on top of that, AJ, I lose my cell phone in the airport, and then all of a sudden it went from being lost to stolen. Just a long story, man. It just the year just started out shaky, AJ. But look, thank God for football because that's the only thing that's got me smiling right now.
Yep. Hey, football is definitely a blessing. And hey, just because, it was a rough start to 2025 doesn't mean that the rest will be like that. So it's going to be better. We're going to speak on that for sure. Pray for that
Yeah,
one
but it
as
was a
well.
rough. Hey, it was a
Yes.
rough start for some NFL teams, man. I
Oh,
can't wait to get into this action here, boy. Woo, 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 woo. Chiefs fans, do not panic. Okay, if I get another text message from a Chiefs fan going, "What happened? What's
yeah.
going on?" Look, none of your starters played. Okay, so I don't know what the hell y'all tripping about. I mean, there's nothing going on. Week 18 is like almost the preseason sometimes, unless you are a Vikings or a Lions fan, because both of those teams are in the tonight will decide who's going to have that number one seed, man. And that is one of the most important things to have in the NFL playoffs is that number one seed. You are definitely going to get a bye. And yeah, the have teams that are just like 214 and two teams. I'm in the regular season. I mean, you couldn't have planned this any better. I mean, this is just great stuff here. Game number what 272, right? There's been 272 games played all NFL season. It comes down to this one tonight for the Vikings and the Lions. And I tell you what, it's going to be great. Okay, so look, the playoff pictures are set. We're going to talk about who's going to be in the playoffs. You should already know that by now. You got seven teams in the AFC, seven teams in the NFC. I would give you all of the matchups here. And AJ, it looks like the Texans go out in a big way. They were on a slide, nothing near the slide that the Pittsburgh Steelers are on. We'll talk about that later too. I know you can't wait to talk about that, AJ.
Yeah. Really everything. But yeah.
But no, the so we're gonna talk about the Texans, and of course, we always like to start with our Texas teams here because we're right here in Houston, right? And Cowboy fans, okay, look, it's just one of those years, but there was a
12th
bright
pick.
spot today for the Dallas Cowboys. Trey Lance could be, if not the number two quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Who knows? I mean, well, what's going to happen with your Cowboys? First of all, AJ.
We're drafting Ashton Gentle. We have the 12th pick now, so I'm happy. I told you and Jacob all season long that this is going to be one of those years. And honestly, I mean, they had injuries, things of that nature. They had their moments where they looked bad, but even then, we still almost swept Washington in a down year. So that's what's funny to me. But yeah, 12th pick time.
I know. And this is just unfamiliar territory for Cowboys fans. They finished this season 7-10, and all eyes are going to be on tomorrow, which is Black Monday in the NFL. It's been we've had coaches fired after week 5 of this season. So I mean, Black Monday started, months ago. But tomorrow is the official Black Monday of the NFL. So all eyes are going to be right there in Dallas, AT&T Stadium, to see if Mike McCarthy is going to return as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. So if you want my opinion, and I'm damn sure going to give it to you, whether you want it or not, I think he should stay. I think I don't know why you would go through. First of all, who's out there? Okay, Cowboys kind of slow to move their feet on making decisions. I've never seen a team so indecisive when it comes to just making moves. Even when it comes to picking up free agents. But with Jared's been patient. But AJ, what do you think? You think Mike McCarthy is going to survive Black Monday?
I think he probably will at this point. Micah Parsons, what's it called? Dak Prescott, a lot of players that talked about how they want to having Mike McCarthy back with a fair shot and things of that nature, of course, with the injuries and stuff. So I think that he's probably going to stay. If anything, I read something from John Machado via Bleacher Report earlier that they could potentially bring in like an offensive coordinator that'll call the plays instead of Mike McCarthy just calling the plays. But I don't know if that's necessarily an answer. We'll see because Mike Zimmer, he is a good defensive coordinator. We've seen what he's done in the past, but I think this
Mm-hmm,
staff is going to
mm-hmm.
end up getting extended. I wouldn't be surprised either way. But Jerry talked about like days ago how the decision had already been made even beside like before today's game. So I really think that that tells you all you need to know. But we'll find out in further days and things of that nature.
Yeah, we're gonna find out real quick. Okay, and also breaking news out of the NFL today. Speaking of coaches and Black Monday, well, Gerard Mayo was fired by the New England Patriots. Now, this is crazy after one season. So, look, I'm going to say something, okay? Because I tell you what, I just really kind of get pissed off sometimes when it comes to, some of the African American coaches. We've seen this over the last couple of years, man. We've had coaches fired after 1 year. Now, Antonio Pierce, we don't even know what's going to happen with him. He only had a 2-year contract. So, your typical NFL coaching contract is anywhere from, 4, 5, 7 years. So, I don't know. It looked like Antonio Pierce is going to be out. So the NFL goes on and on about this. We don't have enough, minority coaches. And then when you get, and Mike Tomlin is an exception, okay, and his ass might be out the door because Pittsburgh Steelers fans are calling for his head. But Gerard Mayo, this one shocked me because I'm like, what are you trying to do? This is a 1 year. He was just into one season here, and the Patriots did not have the roster in the NFL. Quarterbacks, they're still trying to figure out, what they're going to do with the quarterbacks. But this is just crazy. So the Kraft family, and it looks bad because you already decided he was going to be the successor to Bill Belichick. You already knew who that coach was going to be. They didn't any coaching interviews or anything. It was Mayo all the way. Okay. And what has happened through 17 weeks, other than or 18 weeks, other than it's a bad team. You were not going to win that division, and there was no way you were going to even get to 500. But to fire this man after one season is ridiculous. We saw it with Vance Joseph with the Broncos a couple of years ago, fired after one season. We saw it with Wilkes down in Arizona, fired after one season. And just what the hell is going on? These coaches just happen to be African American. I'm just saying here, okay? Why do these coaches not get a fair shake, AJ?
Also, Lovey Smith and David Culley a few years ago too, both with the Texans. But yeah, I really don't like it either. And honestly, I think it's probably because of Mike Vrabel being on the market too, as well, being a former Patriot. Maybe they can say that potentially it was because they had the number one pick and they won the game, dropping them down to the fourth pick. But yeah, I hate the decision as well too. And if you were gonna fire him, okay, at least wait till tomorrow. You had to do it today too. I think that's just like a huge slap in the face, man. Like it's not even a fair shot. You have Drake May, who has some good flashes this year, but now he's gonna have to learn a whole new playbook, most likely, things of that nature too. So just another year setting back. But yeah, this team in New England was not built to win at all. So I just think that Gerard Mayo didn't get a fair shake, and I just hate it for him. And honestly, like you said, I mean, hate it for African
Yeah,
American coaches too.
it's just bad. It's just bad. Okay, now we're not gonna sit up here and this is not a race baiting show or anything like that, folks. I'm just telling you like it is, and I don't like what I see. But look, I thought the Patriots should have hired Mike Vrabel in the first place. I mean, come on. I mean, look
Exactly.
here. Here's a guy that had success in Tennessee. And no, Kraft, you made a mistake. You jumped the gun. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Mayo was a big part of those Super Bowls in New England. And I know that they wanted him in the organization. You could have probably gave him any job. But Mike Vrabel was out there, and you're going to end up probably hiring him anyway, which doesn't make any freaking sense. And I'm okay with Mike Vrabel being the coach. You shouldn't have never hired Jared Mayo. What the hell did you think he was going to do? And what do you think Mike Vrabel's going to do in his first season with that same team? I mean, you're going to get a good draft pick and all. But anyway, let me get off that because we have to talk about our home team, the Texans. They have the number 4 seed in the NFL playoffs, and they are going to take on the Chargers. Ooh, man, this is going to be scary here because I tell you what, a couple of years ago, AJ, I went to a Texans Chargers game, and it was one of those crazy games that the Chargers wasn't supposed to win. Whole different team back then. But this is going to be a real tough match for the number 4 seed and the AFC South champions, Houston Texans, which they did get a win. Man, whoa, good Lord. Can we talk about Dameon Pierce? Oh, my Lord. This, and look, uh, because this right here was just amazing to see from Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I mean, a couple of seasons ago in his rookie year, particularly, a lot of Texans fans saw him as the future too. So some injuries, things like that, and then you bring in Joe Mixon too as well. And then even last year with Singletary playing solid, he kind of lost some playing time, but that's a good, spark and good sign at least, going into next week, potentially having him as an
Yeah.
option along with Mixon too.
And what a great guy.
Right.
Okay, a guy who has just done everything that the team, have asked of him to, and just to just. And then did you see Mixon on the sideline just kind of cheering him on and
Yeah.
running? I mean, it was just great to see, man. What was a 94-yard touchdown run there? But that's what you need, okay, going into the playoffs. Whatever you can get to spark up some energy. You're gonna be at home against these Chargers, and I tell you what, the defense. I mean, everyone looked good for the day. So this is going to be good going into the playoffs. And I'm trying to. I got notes all over the place, AJ. So what was that final score of the Texans? I believe they beat the Titans 23-14 in Nashville. So a big win for the Texans. And that was interesting as well, AJ. Commanders, it wasn't a pretty game. I don't know. It just was a meaningless game for the most part. Commanders win by a score of 23-19. But I tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I have a whole lot of highlights here and just some information on teams that were eliminated. If you didn't know your team was eliminated, I'm going to let you know today that they were. So you listen to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Mean Gene Show right here on a Sunday night. It is the last set of games, Week 18. The last regular season games were played today, and if you notice, they were and that's just the way the NFL does it, to make things a little bit more interesting. But look, I am going to go over the AFC playoff picture because I think it's important. The NFC playoff picture is sort of still being decided here. Okay, we really don't know who the number one seed is going to be with the Lions and Vikings get things underway. But right now, the playoff picture in the AFC looks like this. The Chiefs are your number one seed. They have a bye, okay? They will not be in action. The Bills are the number two seed. The Ravens are the number three seed. AFC North. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. And we have the Texans. We just mentioned in the last segment that the Texans are your AFC South champions. They are your four seed. The Chargers got it done today. Okay, big win for the Chargers. They take care of the Raiders, so will be traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. The Pittsburgh Steelers probably. Oh my goodness, AJ, I don't even know where to start with the Steelers right now, but they are the sixth seed, and they sort of wrapped up the sixth seed like weeks ago, or not the sixth seed, but they wrapped up a playoff spot. It looked like they were going to be the AFC North champions at one time, and all of a sudden to drop four in a row, and folks, look, people are calling for Mike Tomlin's head, and I sort of understand why. Look, winning having a winning season all the time and not really being able to turn that over, that's not what's going to get it done. I mean, you have to get it done. Now look, I am a Tomlin supporter here, and but for the most part, the Super Bowl that Mike Tomlin won, that was pretty much with Bill Cowher's team, and then he sort of made it to another Super Bowl with his players, and that's the one they lost to in Dallas against the Green Bay Packers. But winning seasons, it just don't add up. You have to get in, you have to go deep, and man, this is not the way you want to go into. I don't think they won a game in December. And AJ, we got some soundbite. Is it from Tomlin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see what Mike has to say.
Man, we certainly had our opportunities to win the game, but we didn't. I mean, we had to own that. Not enough routine playmaking. Routine things routinely is kind of a signature of high floor football, and I just thought that particularly on the offensive side, we didn't do enough routine things well to move the ball with fluidity, to win possession downs, to possess it, to score. And so the game was touch and go because of that.
Mike, I tell you what, routine. Look, man, the Bengals has had one of the worst defense all year. One reason why the Bengals were not as great as they should have been. Offense is completely different. You knew what Joe Burrow was going to bring. You knew he was going to come to town and get it done. But what did the Pittsburgh Steelers do in a game that they were, played at home? All they had to do was just win that game, and probably would have got a higher seed. But this team, look, AJ, and it hurts me to say, I just don't see how they're going to. I think they got to face the Ravens again.
Right? Yep.
So, exactly. What do? You got to face Baltimore, and this is something you don't want to do in the playoffs: is play against a team in your division. Okay, and the Steelers could have avoided that, but no, they get beat. I mean, look, I know it was 19-17, and they had the chance to win, but that team really looks bad, and Russell Wilson looked even worse. So I don't know.
Yeah, y'all definitely gonna have to address the quarterback position once again. I mean, I don't know what that's gonna look like exactly, but yeah, it's hard watching the offense. It's kind of like a Texans conversation in terms of them just being constantly stagnant. So it's the same thing, and they have a good defense too, though. But your defense can't hold up all the time when they're constantly on the field because your offense isn't able to go anywhere.
And look, so I don't know. We'll see. They're going to face these Ravens, and the Ravens are hot. You don't want to face the Ravens. You can just ask the Cleveland Browns yesterday. The Ravens put it on them 35-10. Lamar Jackson just picking them apart, doing whatever they want to do. You have Derrick Henry. You got Mark Andrews. You got Rashad Bateman. But it doesn't look like, AJ, they're going to have Flowers, who, man, that injury was not as bad as it looked. It looked really bad, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It looked like he bumped his knee or something like that. I'm glad it wasn't like anything like non-contact because, I mean, he got hit on a play. But I mean, they haven't like officially like said anything yet or diagnosed it from what I've seen. So I mean, they probably hope he's able to play, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the last word I got it was a strain, perhaps. We'll see. But he could be out. They
Right.
did say that he's likely to miss the first round of the playoffs. But look, they still have
A lot of weapons.
they got wide receivers on that team and that defense right now. This is just not going to be good for the Steelers. Yeah, they have to go to MT Bank Stadium there in Baltimore. I mean, look now, I know it's a rivalry there, and anything could happen. But I just don't see how the Steelers are going to, get past the Baltimore Ravens in the first round. So anyway, we'll see. And the seventh seed went to the Denver Broncos. Man, I tell you what, now they put it on the Chiefs today, and that was third. Okay, but look, don't worry, Chiefs fans. Do not worry because this was just it's just one of those things, man. I mean, it happens. Okay, the Broncos knew all they had to do was win, and they were in, and they did it. Big game from Bo Nix to 29, 321 yards, 4 touchdowns, almost a perfect quarterback rating. Carson Wentz, I don't know. Chiefs fans might be thinking about, nah, I don't know. This was embarrassing. I mean, even though it won't matter, they get a bye. So the Chiefs get to just sit around and see how these things are going to play out in the AFC playoffs. But I mean, it was more embarrassing than anything, I would say, but nothing to worry about. We're talking about the back-to-back Super Bowl champions on their way for to have an opportunity to do what no team has done in the NFL and win 3 Super Bowls in a row. They have a chance to get it done, and wow! But a very interesting game there. So also, so the Broncos will have that seventh seed there, and this is going to really I mean, it's just to see what Sean Payton has done, and to do it with a rookie quarterback. And even though a lot of people didn't, you have to call Bo Nix a rookie because he is a rookie, but he was one of the most experienced of the rookie quarterbacks that got played in the league this year. And man, just just what success they have had. Now it might be short lived because they got to go to Buffalo and play the Bills. And that is not going to be. I mean, come on, the AFC playoffs, AJ. In my opinion, man, the AFC playoffs are going to be fun and exciting to watch, and I do not think the Chiefs are.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, personally, like bias wise, I want to see either Lamar or Josh Allen win one, but we could potentially have that matchup between them two in the second round. So that's why it's gonna be a really good matchup. For the Chiefs
Mhm.
perspective, I mean, they'll probably get the winner out of Chargers and Texans. I mean, they will get the winner out of Chargers and Texans. So I guess maybe like say, I mean, I know Houston fans don't want to hear this, but say if the Chargers win, it will be the Chargers and Chiefs. That would be a pretty good matchup. Also, a divisional matchup too. So it's a lot of intriguing storylines in the AFC for sure.
It really is, and then we have one of our listeners in the chat here, Sam K, is expecting a pick 'em in the wild card, and he said maybe the Chargers uh, -1. I mean, I mean, what are your thoughts on that, AJ? I mean, I could see that. He might be dead on here. Hey, look here, Sam. You got some inside information, man, where we can make some money. Hey, let us know because this sounds pretty dead on to me. That you think the Texans will be favorite?
I mean, not really. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win, to be honest, in good fashion as well. Because what I've seen from the Texans this season, overall, from a body of work perspective, I think that they're like 8-2 against teams under 500, and the rest of those games. I mean, obviously they've lost 7 games total, so that tells you the record there. They're 2-5 in those other matchups. So I just don't like it. And the Chargers, they play a physical brand of football as well too. Now the Texans do have a good defense, but offensively, they are continuing to spread the ball around with Justin Herbert. Lat McConkey's been good. And just overall their weapons too. I just think that they will give the Texans problems, especially their defense as well with Khalil Mack and other defensive players that have been playing well too.
Okay. Yeah, we should see. I mean, we're gonna know those odds. They're gonna come out here pretty soon, and we're gonna be able to see if Sam is onto something there. But I could see it. Either way, I could maybe a field goal. It might increase
Yeah.
as
Also,
we.
CJ Stroud hasn't won a game against either Harbaugh brother. Obviously, going against Jim in college at Ohio State, and
Mm,
he hasn't won any in the NFL against the Ravens.
that's pretty interesting,
Yeah.
And look, man, give it up to Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, what he did with this Charger team. You talking about a first-year coach comes in, and this doesn't happen for everyone, but people need to remember that Jim Harbaugh was an NFL quarterback and an NFL coach who took a team to the Super Bowl. So he might be a first-year coach coming from Michigan, but don't let that fool you. This guy took a team to the Super Bowl. He and he faced his brother in the Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, the last Super Bowl that was in New Orleans, which is unreal. So, and speaking of New Orleans, I probably should have started off the show with this. I just didn't want to jump into bad news but our thoughts and prayers are definitely with the folks, in New Orleans. And I know a lot of people, are hesitant to go to New Orleans or, just, I mean, every city has their problems, and that what happened on New Year's Day could have happened anywhere in the world, or anywhere in the country, for that matter. But the Mean Gene Show, we're going to be in New Orleans doing a show from there, and we're looking forward to it. But man, just what a tragedy, and our thoughts and prayers are with those families. And AJ, just a crazy thing.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, it could happen anywhere, but that's why we just have to come together as a world, as a country in general. I mean, obviously, there's cruel people in the world. That's just reality of what goes on. But New Orleans, like you said, it's a great city and it's a great town. And like you said, people had their things about the Super Bowl going about that. So there's probably going to be more security and things like that. But I think that everything's going to be well and it's going to be fine.
I
I
think
think
so.
so for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So on that note, we are going to take a break. When we come back, I have more scores, more playoff scenarios, and all of that great stuff. Well, it's not a scenario at this point. I mean, everything's locked in, except we're going to talk about the NFC playoff picture here. You listen to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
You're listening to The Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Mean Gene Show here on a Sunday night. No Jacob Meadows here, but I know Jacob is probably somewhere listening. And AJ, by the way, I want to just quickly, fantasy football, it basically ended last week for the most part. Now, there are some teams that have what you call week 18, which is, man, tough because you don't know who's going to play. You just have to hope that you have a player that's on a team that needs to win to help you out. Maybe even Jamar Chase did well yesterday, and of course Jonathan Taylor did well today. So I guess if you had those guys, if you had Bo Nix as your starting quarterback, But anyway, Jacob won our Sports Kings Fantasy Football League last year, and he was eliminated by Dustin.
Oh
Dustin Piper, who joins us
wow.
from FanDuel Sports Southeast. And Dustin gets to the championship game and he loses. Okay, so just not good for our guys here on the Mean Gene Show. But anyway, we just didn't want Jacob to go back to back, right? So now in the NFL.com Fantasy League, Mean Gene wins another championship. Okay,
Yes,
so what
sir.
can I say? This is why leagues. Okay, that's the minimum for me. I know some people played a ton of them, AJ. So how did you end up doing in your fantasy football for 2024?
On one of them, I just was outside the playoffs, and then the one I'm playing in now, I'm like competing for the third place one. So that's a good thing. The last time I won first place was 2021, so I'm hoping for some better, better winning and better success in 2025. But I mean, third place, I guess you won something. So I
I
mean, that's
mean,
not
look,
bad.
you're in the top three, right?
Right.
You can't go wrong, man. And I
Yeah.
tell you, this was just a crazy year. And I think in two of my other leagues had Jamar Chase not got off to that, but he didn't play for 2 or 3 games, right, or something like that.
It was some of that.
Yeah, so I mean, and it all mattered because he was the most dominant fantasy football player this year. But anyway, so let's kind of get into what's happening tonight here. We are going to really talk a whole lot. Well, I'm just going to give you a lot of updates because right now I really don't have a score. 0-0, Minnesota and the Lions. Okay, now this is a very interesting game. Now, I guess this is not going to be a high-scoring game, but you never know. Sometimes these games can start out slow, and then the offense just takes over. I mean, we've seen that with the Detroit Lions. I'll tell you what's on the line here because this is really interesting. We don't know the winner of this game tonight will be the NFC North champions. All right. And then they will also be the number one seed in the NFC and have home field advantage in the NFC playoffs. We just talked about that. Like Kansas City has it, and Detroit is trying to get their consecutive division titles for the first time since 1970. I mean, they just don't have a lot of success up there in Detroit. But this is over the last couple of years they have, and would be huge if they could get this win tonight. And what a place to have it than at home. So AJ, it's a scoreless game now, but yeah, I mean the Vikings. Look, all of the starters are playing in this game tonight. So what do you think the outcome is going to be?
Woo. Well, it could either go either way. For me, how Minnesota is continuing the trend, I honestly see them winning the game. Obviously, I know it's on the road, but how the Lions defense looked last week, especially against the 49ers, if it wasn't for those two Brock Purdy interceptions, I know that game was meaningless, but they were getting scored on pretty easily by the 49ers offense too. And they dealt with their injuries and stuff like that, but they still have their weapons. But for the Vikings, I mean, they have a lot of weapons. As you see right now, they're driving down the field at a solid rate right now. So I think the Vikings are going to win and take the number one seed, which is crazy that the loser out of these teams is going to have a 14-3 record on the road.
Isn't they going to
That's
be the number
insane.
5 seed?
That's insane. Going to go against the Rams too. So
And
that'll
then you
be a
got to
good
play the
game.
Rams.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I'm sure
So-
for Lions fans, they would like to see Matt Stafford again, probably try to beat him again like last year. But yeah,
No, the Lions want that bye. They want that bye, and they're going to need it.
Definitely, that'll be the consolation for that. But yeah, I see the Vikings winning. That's just my opinion.
Oh man, I don't know. Look, as you can see, the game is on behind me. I can't look. I'm trying to make sure I do this show and don't turn around. I got a little volume up on some things, but I know AJ, you're gonna let me know what's going on here. So just Mark Carter in our chat room. He says the Chargers are the better game. And then we have someone we have is that B. Hannon saying Chargers Texans would be the first game on Saturday. So that's really going to matter a lot because let me tell you what we're going to be doing since we're talking about these games coming up Wild Card Weekend. Wild Card Weekend, which starts on that Saturday and goes all the way to that Monday, right? They somehow have extended it to a degree. So you days of football. Wildcard weekend is really exciting. But the Mean Gene Show, we're going to be at Christian's Tailgate in Midtown. Okay, so that's here in the Houston area. We should be doing our show from there next week. I don't really know the times, AJ. I think because we don't want to be on during. So we're probably going to be on before the Sunday night NBC game.
Okay.
So we'll probably be on before, because I know so we'll probably catch the tail end of the second game. And then, but we'll come on right before, just like like we do now. So, but anyway, just come out and hang out with us at Kristen's Tailgate Midtown. I know they have several locations. They're really known for their great hamburgers. Okay, and talk with one of the GMs there, Chris Allen. He's going to come down and be on the show with us. Chris Allen. You guys might. I don't know if he used his name. His real name when he was doing radio, but he was a DJ here in Houston for a long time. Played, I think he played some rock and roll, some pop music. But anyway, so he's going to come down there and sit with us and do some of this show. So that should be fun. But so look, Detroit right now, number one seed right now. That's just right now. Okay, and they might stay that way depending on what happens in this game. So if they are successful in winning tonight, they will have a bye. Okay, the number 2 seed. All the other seeds are pretty much locked in. It's just this 1 and 5 we don't know, but all 7 teams are locked in as well in the NFC. Philadelphia Eagles, they are your number 2 seed. Okay, and how about look here? Eric Dickerson is probably somewhere sipping on some champagne because he knows that Saquon Barkley was about to get that record. But AJ, but not okay. If Saquon had played today and broke that record, well, hell, it took 17 games to do it. And I mean, you have to start putting asterisks by this. Oh, he beat this record, broke that record. Look, when Dickerson did it, what they were playing 14 games, 15?
It was 16. It was 16.
Okay, so you get one extra game there, right? So, but sometimes you just can't really. You have to look at the era that we're in. I mean, and yeah, I think if Saquon, I think he could have broken it if he wanted to. But I think the Eagles were smart in not letting them get out there because you don't playoffs with injuries, and the Eagles are one of those teams that, man, they've had injuries this year, but they handled them a lot better than they did in previous years. But anyway, they're going to be at home, and they have the 2 seed there, and they also won the NFC East. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, the Buccaneers, the NFC South for the 4th straight time. Now, say what you will. And this is crazy because I saw a picture today, AJ, with Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield when they were with the Carolina Panthers.
Just 2 years ago.
And just a few years ago. And Dustin Pfeiffer used to just beat me up. Anytime I even mentioned Baker Mayfield as being a good quarterback or Sam Darnold being a good quarterback, he would just rip me apart. Now, ironically, I was in Las Vegas. I mean, not Las Vegas. I was in Dallas, Texas, when they both were drafted. I had a chance to interview Sam Darnold. Just amazing to see where these guys have come in their careers. Baker's been bounced around from team to team to team. I thought he was going to have success there in Cleveland. Took him to a playoff, something that ain't no other quarterback done in like the last 50 years in
exactly.
Cleveland.
And won a game against the Steelers too in 2020.
Okay, you'd have to go there. Okay. Then that was a shellacking. I mean, yeah, he did that. Two quarterbacks I would never forget and how they beat my Steelers, and that was Tim Tebow did it too one time, and he eliminated the Steelers in his heroic efforts. But anyway, Baker Mayfield, Buccaneers are the 3rd seed there, and watch out for the Buccaneers, man. Watch out; they have a loaded offense, and Baker's just playing some of the best football of his career. All right. And the Rams, AJ, we just mentioned the Rams. Boy, that is a scary team. I really wanted, to see that game, even though I know none of the starters was going to play there. But it's just that nobody wants to face the Rams. And either the Detroit Lions, if they lose tonight, they will face the Rams in the playoffs, or it's going to be the Minnesota. And I tell you what, AJ, that's a scary team. They don't have the defense that they used to have, but the Rams are scary. And I know a lot. I know the sexy look there, or the sexy matchup would be having Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford go at it again.
Absolutely, and they also just showed on Sunday Night Football the schedule and matchup for the games. If you want me to go through them real quick for
Yeah, let's go through them.
So on Saturday, the Houston Texans play the Chargers at 3:30, similar to last year how they played in the first round on Saturday, and then the second game on Saturday is your Pittsburgh Steelers against the Ravens on Amazon Prime at 7 o'clock here, Central Time, and then Sunday the first game 12 o'clock between the Bills and the Broncos on CBS. The second game at 3:30 between the Packers and the Eagles at 3:30 on Fox. And then the final game, Sunday Night Football on NBC. It will be between the Commanders and the Buccaneers at 6:30. And then Monday, it'll be the Rams and the losers out of this game.
Wow,
Yep.
great stuff there. So we'll get a chance to see the Commanders, and who was that again? The Buccaneers?
Right, the Buccaneers.
That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a good game.
Absolutely.
So that would be the basically watch party with the Mean Gene Show. So just come out and hang out with us at Kristen's Tailgate, and we'll do our show and chat with the fans. If you want to come on radio and talk with us, I mean, hey, it's fine. So I just didn't want to be in the way of the Texans there, and that is fine. And so the Texans are playing Saturday. We get to stay at home, watch it, or you're going to be at NRG Stadium watching that game. The Chargers coming to town. It's going to be a big playoff weekend. It's the playoffs here. This for us. So we're gonna take a break. When we come back, maybe we'll have a score from Detroit. I don't know. We'll see what's happening there and answer some of your texts here. I mean, we've got some good communication going here on a Sunday night. I can tell people are going to miss the regular season, man. I know. Get the tear out of your eyes. We still got some football to talk about. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we are back here, the last segment for hour number one. Man, the show goes by so fast, but I tell you something that's not going by fast, and that's this game tonight between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. So let's see what we got here. AJ, have you ever like watched paint dry?
You mean like paint dry, like just paint that?
Yeah, just like when you just paint something, then you just watch it and wait for it to dry.
I've seen it. Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, that's basically how
So,
this game is essentially.
That's what this game is
Yeah.
like. Look, we pump this thing up, we hype it up here, and nothing is happening. We're talking about Sam Darnold, who has thrown for I don't know how many yards this year, and Jared Goff, who has thrown for the explosive receivers they have on this team. Not to mention the running game, and we have zero. Now, the worst thing that could happen is that we go to overtime and get an extra 10 minutes of zero, which I'm just that won't happen. I don't know. I mean, this is one of those tight games, AJ. I mean, what are you seeing there? Because I'm not able to watch it. So I mean, it's like a defensive matchup right now.
Yeah, so far. And the Lions, they were driving for a second, but they just had a holding call, so now it's 3rd and 12. But I think they're just in a feeling out period, like a boxing match, kind of. But I think like probably by the end of the first quarter or second quarter, we'll start to see stuff unraveling for sure.
I hope so.
Because both of these offenses are prominent. So
yeah, and they conservative, knowing that one of these teams is going to have to play next week.
right,
And
exactly.
and I'm sure you don't want to show it all, but so we should see. I still think the Lions will get the game won here, but man, Vikings defense, which is AJ, has been underrated. We have not talked about Vikings defense. We've talked about but the Vikings. Look, you don't get to be 14 and 2 with a crappy defense, right? So they are also. I mean, don't underestimate this defense. They're nothing like the John Randall defenses of the day, but they're good. So let's finish looking at the NFC playoff picture here. So the well, we don't like with the Rams are the 4th seed, the 5 seed. We don't know. It could be Minnesota or Detroit, so we'll know that. But the Commanders are your 6th seed. They finished the regular season with a 12-5 record. And how about the Green Bay Packers again in these playoffs? Now, one thing I always the Green Bay Packers are your 7th seed. They finished the season 11-6. So AJ, I just think that one thing I do look at when I go to looking at playoffs here and trying to make predictions here, I always like to first start with the quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl, and we know that's Patrick Mahomes, right? And um, and we also have Matthew Stafford. So you got a couple of quarterbacks in here with some bling bling, right? I mean Russell Wilson, but that was not that was the old Russell Wilson. So I always pay a little respect to that. But then you look at just teams that just kind of made the playoffs last year. Man, the Green Bay Packers knocked on the door. They almost beat the 49ers, and probably should have beat the 49ers. But will Green Bay make some noise in these playoffs?
Oh, that's tough. They played against the Eagles earlier on the first game of the season, and it was a pretty close game. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they did beat the Eagles in the first round. It just depends on how they're trending. I mean, they were able to basically steal the game back from the Bears today, but it'll be a good matchup because they have most of their weapons. I saw Christian Watson got hurt, and hopefully I don't know what the status on him is, but they have a chance because Jordan Love, he can get hot like we saw last season. So.
He can get hot.
And also Jahmyr Gibbs, he just scored a touchdown, like a 30-some yard touchdown. So 7-0, the Lions are up right now.
All right, we have a score. Woohoo! All right, and look, a lot of pressure has been put on Jahmyr Gibbs, but this guy is getting it done. I had him on my fantasy team too. So it was, and who took me to the championship was Jahmyr Gibbs. How about Joe Burrows was my quarterback? How about Mike Evans? How about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Dang.
That's the type of lineup I took. Ladd McConkey. That was the lineup that I put on the field. Bucky Irvin.
That's a lot of weapons.
And rarely do I ever take 2 players from the same team, but you had to. I mean, having two Buccaneers and 2 Lions. That carried me. And then Joe Burrow was just hot as fish grease, right? So that was just a perfect weapon. But AJ, here's the most exciting thing about winning my is that I was the number 2 seed. I played the number 1 seed. We were 1 and 2 pretty much the whole year. He
Mhm.
beat me twice. The 2 losses I had came to him. And guess who got him the third time when it counted?
You won when it mattered most.
That's
Yep.
why they call me Mean Gene, folks. Don't play with me. So we got a score. Jamar Gibbs gets in the end zone, and it looks like we have a says it's 7-0 there with about less than a minute, I think, in the first quarter there. So man, I think it's probably going to start. I expect Sam Donald to hit Jordan Addison or Jefferson. Hawkinson is tight end. I expect that to happen uh, at a moment here. So let's talk about some other games that took place today. Because we're not just doing the scores like we typically do, because there were so many meaningless games that it just didn't matter. This game was not meaningless, and it had some potential, at least for the Falcons. The Falcons needed, to win. I mean, this was crazy. You lose, and how they lost today was just pretty much indicative of their season. I mean, it looked like it was always going to be the Buccaneers winning the NFC. uh, the Atlanta Falcons went out there and just did great. Now, the worst thing that could happen is if they fire Raheem Morris after one season. I mean, you just don't know.
They
But
better
the
not.
Panthers, I hope not. I mean, but you can't put nothing past the NFL. It's all about what have you done for me lately. Um, the Falcons finished the season 8-9, and second in the NFC South. The Panthers, they squeaked out 5 wins for a team that didn't look like they were going to get any wins, or maybe one win. And man, what a game today! They beat the Falcons 48, and they basically played spoilers. AJ, I mean, this is what's scary about teams you got to play in Week 18 and that don't have anything to play for. But man, this game, that was in overtime, I do believe, right? So 44
Yep.
38. Uh, Bryce Young, steady getting better. Michael, that decision. AJ, you think perhaps Raheem Morris should have put Michael Penix in much sooner
Yeah, I
than he
agree.
did?
I agree. No, definitely, because Kirk Cousins had that 5 to 6 week stretch where he had only 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions. Yeah, it was at some point you had to put him in. I won't necessarily just put that on him though, but now you have the blueprint for Michael Penix Jr. in his plan, because in his 2 starts, 3 starts, my bad, he looked pretty
Yeah,
good. So
yeah,
you drafted him that high in the first round for a reason, so you know how talented
you
of a
did.
quarterback that he is and how experienced he is too. So as long as he can stay healthy, they have a bright future for sure with him.
I agree. He 21 to 38 today, 312 yards pick, but I mean, the guy looks good. He looks calm. Bryce Young is the one that I'm really impressed with after being benched early in the year for the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, and then to come back, get your job again, and make the best of what the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, man. I think he has a winning record over the last 4 or 5 weeks, right, of the season. So, I mean, this is just great stuff to see that he didn't just take that benching and just man, he's been smiling and he even got into the end zone himself today. So just great. And they eliminated the Falcons, which we probably didn't want to see the Falcons in the playoffs anyway. They just have looked bad. But man, Michael Penix, I have no reason to believe that he would not be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. But AJ, when we first started, the show back at week 1, and we did our predictions. I mean, I really predicted the Falcons to win the NFC South. They went out and loaded up on defense, and they had Cousins and brought in a veteran quarterback, but it seemed like Cousins was the one that did them in.
Yeah, and I don't know who Jacob picked, but I know I picked the Bucks again. So, because I mean, I knew everybody was gonna pick the Falcons. With Kurt coming in, the defense, trading for Judon, all things of that nature. So I saw that, but I just thought the Bucks would find a way, and they did again. And Baker Mayfield has been showing that he has a new home in Tampa Bay. That Mike Evans, even despite missing 3 to 4 games with a calf injury, still came back,
Yeah,
had an 11 straight 1,000-yard season. So this team is just resilient
crazy.
for sure.
And that was all. Look, I tell you what, all Baker, man. You lose Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. They both were out at one time. and everyone had just wrote the Tampa Bay Buccaneers completely off.
Exactly.
And man, they finished the season 10-7. They win the NFC South for the fourth time. Okay, and twice, and then we know that Tom Brady was boy, that seemed like years ago. Tom Brady was the quarterback there with the Buccaneers, but man, they get it done there. And but I want to talk about Spencer Rattler now. Do we have a situation in New Orleans now where have we seen? Because I like what I see out of Spencer Rattler.
I don't know. I have to look at the draft order again. It just depends on where they're picking out. But maybe I would probably run it back one more year with him just to see where things are going, just to give him a fair shot. But you still have Derek Carr on your books. So are you going to try to release him or trade him, get some type of value for him? I don't know.
Yeah,
They got a new coach too.
because
They got to get too. So
that's true too. And Carr just has proven to be injury prone over the last couple of years. He just hasn't finished a season, and for whatever the reason is. But man, I tend to think that this Rattler kid has a future there. He put the ball up 42 times a day. Completed 26 of them, 240 yards, touchdown, no picks. And this is what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it there. But interesting. So look, we are about to wrap up this first hour, and of course, in the second hour, we are going to talk about the what had happened, what had happened game. I think everybody know what game that is. Okay, that's really easy. But anyway, stay with us for the second hour of the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5. All right, welcome back for hour number 2 of the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5, and I am joined tonight by the producer, the man that makes it all happen behind the glass, and that is AJ. AJ, I tell you what, it's the weather. There's a big weather outbreak in the United States. Okay, and if you listen to this show, you know that I am a weather geek. So it's supposed to get down to 29 degrees in the H Town area. I mean, is this something that you're going to be able to handle, AJ? I'm kind of worried about my folks in H Town.
Yeah, I'll be fine. We had the freeze a few years ago, so really, like that was in the teens. That's when starts to get extreme for me. I know that might be crazy to say, being from Houston, but now, like since I've experienced that to 30, 20 degree weather, I mean, it's not my favorite, but I can, you know, soldier through it for sure. So hey,
All right, okay. Well, look, I hope I don't think we're gonna have anything like what the East is having. Like folks in Kansas and all through the Midwest part of the country, they're getting pummeled with snow. We're not going to get that all day, although they are talking about in the northern part of Houston, in the area, Conroe area. Um, maybe, but don't hold your breath. That's probably not going to happen. But it will be cold to go from 75 to 28. The body will take uh, notice to that. So anyway, so stay warm. It's going to be. I don't think it's going to get out of the 40s all week. And the lows are going to be pretty crazy. So there's your weather report. Okay, they don't really pay me to give you the weather report, but anyway. All right. So second hour, what we're going to talk about this hour is the what had happened game. And look, okay, we sort of gave it away already. So, but anyway, let's hear it, AJ. What had happened?
So what had happened was
What had happened was
Well, Chiefs fans, look, this is probably the only thing we're going to be able to pick on you about because what had happened was the Denver Broncos beat the Chiefs 38-0. Typically, you don't see those type of blowouts in the NFL. They do occur, but look, we're talking about the Chiefs. We're talking about the defending champions, Super Bowl champions, back to back, right? Chiefs, who did not play anybody. Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback today, and he didn't really do bad, but he didn't do good either. I think with 10 of 17, 98 yards, and uh, look, Andy Reid has won more division titles than anyone except Bill Belichick. All right, I think Andy Reid has won 15 division titles. The Belichick had 17 division titles. So this was just a get the scrubs out there. I don't like to call them scrubs, okay, but you get the second and third string players out there. AJ, they don't like to be called scrubs, man.
just the non-starters. We can go.
Okay,
with
okay.
that.
All right. Scrubbed from, okay, but anyway, nothing like the 1988 strike in the NFL where they did have scrub players. They were really scrubs, right?
I wouldn't know. That was
So
14 years before I was born, but
yeah, it was pretty bad. I've gone through a couple of NFL strikes. Okay, so scab player scrubs. Well, they called them something, but anyway. So anyway, the Chiefs just didn't want to get anyone hurt. They want their guys ready, but I tell you what, man, they're gonna be ready. The Chiefs are gonna be ready. I just don't know. AJ, I just want this matchup between them and the Bills. They are going to lose because those two teams are scary, and they were the Buffalo is Buffalo. I closed the window on the Bills a couple of years ago. I mean, you lose Diggs, you make these wholesale changes, and you come back, and you're better than you were. Years. I might put the Bills in the Super Bowl.
I could see that, and certainly that's why Josh Allen has a real MVP case. Even though I think Lamar's going to win his third because he's had the best season, but that's another question for another day. If they play against the Ravens in the second round, it would be in Buffalo. So I don't know because we saw how the Ravens beat the Buffalo Bills earlier this year, even though that was earlier. It'll be intriguing. For me, it's out of them two. I mean, the Chiefs, obviously, you can't count them out because we could end up being a meme and seeing the Chiefs go back to back to back.
Yeah, I know it.
So.
I know it. I look. Hey, this happened before. So look, I just okay. Look, let's just say who the number one seeds in the NFL playoffs have only met up. I guess what 50% of the time here since they went with this formatting here. That's not a lot. You would think that look, there is a huge advantage to being the number one seed because it's the closest way to get to the Super Bowl. It's the easiest way. That's what I meant to say. It is the easiest way. But if it was that easy, then why haven't we seen number one seeds face off with each other every year?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
That
it
is
just
true.
doesn't happen. And the reason why it doesn't happen is because you see teams like what you got in the NFC now. You got like a Minnesota Vikings team that's hot. You got a Philadelphia Eagles team that's hot. You got a you got the who's my AFC? You got the Bills
The
and
Ravens.
you got Ravens. I mean, those teams get in the way, and every home team does not win during Wild Card Weekend. Or I remember one year all the road teams won. So this is why, I mean, yeah, you are rewarded for being the number one seed, for putting in that work. Number one seed is going to be tonight until it's probably going to be Detroit. Detroit needs that number one seed. Okay, they really do. And it's crazy, AJ, and while we're talking about this here, when you look at the college football playoffs, how about all the road teams, man?
Oh, the
Was
bye
that
teams.
crazy?
The teams that have byes. You mean going 0-4?
Yeah, I mean, all the bye teams lost.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna tell you why I think that happened, AJ, is because those other teams were playing. You know, college football is not designed to set for weeks. When they have to play. You have to. And a bye in college football is not like a bye in the NFL. Okay, it's not nowhere near, and we saw that, did we?
Right, you might not win it. And Nick Saban talked about, when you don't play for so long, you have to, get your players used to playing again. Ball security is ball security is a huge emphasis on football. Like, for example, with Ashton Jeanty at Boise State, they haven't played so wrong. He fumbled 2 times the entire year on the season.
Yes.
And in the game, he fumbled 2 times. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. And this is because they are at this format now. Expect to see that. You're going to see teams that don't want to buy.
Yeah, for sure. Next year, you might see that a lot.
And sometimes in the NFL, look, we have had wild card teams win the Super Bowl. So just don't think, I'm not going to watch. I'm not going to watch the wild card weekend because none of those teams are going to the Super Bowl anyway. Don't do that.
Right.
Because the Raiders were a wild card team. The Steelers have won the Super Bowl as a wild card team. It has happened. Okay, so don't put off wild card weekend. But I just think, AJ, if we knew that it was going to be Detroit and Kansas City in the Super Bowl, then why play these other games?
That's what I'm saying. Why do anything at all? And it's most likely not going to be that matchup anyway. So.
Yeah. It's probably not. That's why you have to watch these games because, man, this is, and I know we say this every year, but the playoffs, how it ends up out here makes it so interesting because, man, this was a great year when you look at the success of the NFC North, the fact that they got 3 teams in the playoffs here. Bengals almost helped themselves there. You could have had 3 teams from the AFC North, and then how about the AFC West? Who saw 3 teams coming from? We all said, "Oh, this is going to be a Kansas City. We'll win the division, and nobody is going to come out of the playoffs in the AFC West." Chargers and the Broncos fans, that donkey is just talking up there in Denver. They haven't seen this. Orange Crush hasn't made the playoffs in a long time since Peyton Manning, right?
Since they won the Super Bowl in 2015, that was a long time.
So this is why we watch these games, man, because it's so exciting. You don't know what's going to happen there. But Chiefs fans, don't worry. You will not see Carson Wentz. You don't want to see Carson Wentz. And Patrick Mahomes will get it done. Now, you mentioned the MVP. I want to weigh in on that MVP. I would give it if I had a vote. It would be Josh Allen. I know that Lamar Jackson has done some crazy things, and he's done, good Lord, just running the ball. He almost got 1,000 yards, didn't he, rushing?
Yeah, he did. He had 5,000 over 5,000
for a
total.
quarterback to have 1,000 yards rushing. But I have seen this guy, and here's another guy that I was at that draft. Imagine it was Saquon Barkley, uh, Sam Donald, uh, and Lamar Jackson actually set. It looked like he was going to go into the second round when all of a sudden Ozzie Newsome says, "Yeah, we're going to bring him on, and make him a Raven." I had left the building already. I'm like, yeah, he's not. I did
Oh,
not
wow.
want him to be a Raven because I knew he was going to cause problems in my division with
Right.
the Steelers, and he has caused problems, and he continues to cause problems. But I can understand people wanting to make him the MVP. I have no issues with that at all. I could see that. But you've had so many great performances by NFL players this year, and Saquon Barkley, right? I mean, you can make the case this year for a lot of guys for getting that, but I think it's going to be Josh Allen. I just think that's where the voters are going to go because I mean, so many similarities. They both of those guys, Allen and Lamar Jackson, put it done. Let's just say this: those teams would not win without those quarterbacks.
Exactly. And you could say the same for Saquon Barkley on the Eagles. They wouldn't be as effective.
Yes,
Maybe they'd make the playoffs, but they wouldn't be as potent as they are.
indeed. I mean, so yeah. I mean, I'm okay with either one of those guys winning. And we let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll try to get you an update from what's happening there in Detroit between the Vikings and the Lions. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we are back. Second hour of the Mean Gene Show, moving right along on a Sunday, the first Sunday of 20. Is it the first Sunday? Yeah, the first
Yeah,
Sunday
it
of
is.
2025. Sometimes I just get completely lost. It's the first show of 2025, and we will be hanging out for Wild Card Weekend at Christian's Tailgate, Midtown. All right, if you're going to be in the H-Town area, come out and watch the Wild Card Weekend games with us. Sunday night, we'll be there right before the Commanders and the Buccaneers, which is going to be a great matchup there but lots of football this weekend. And AJ, I have to give a shout out to my boys, my Navy buddies. They always jump on and watch the show. And we're gonna all be down in New Orleans, right, for the Super Bowl. We sort of try to get together whenever we can. We hung out in Vegas a couple of years ago. These are my Navy buddies
That's awesome.
in the Navy. So I'm not allowed to talk about the Army when I'm around them. It's all Navy stuff, right? So how about this? 40 years ago today, I went overseas for the second time on the USS Acadia. That's the ship that I'm on too. So, but 40 years ago, that was the second time I had went overseas. So yeah, I remember we left San Diego on January 5th, and that was 1985. Man, yeah, I'm old, AJ. You don't have to look at me like
I
that.
didn't say that. I was gonna say thank you for your service. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, so Doc, Rick, Mike, Stan, Theo, all you guys, hey, y'all, let's get ready to do it up in New Orleans, man. We're going to do it. They got daiquiri bars down there. You can just, oh, Lord, I can't wait till next month. So, all right, we're going to do it up. So, the Minnesota Vikings apparently want Rams, because why else would you not put 3 points on the board when you had an opportunity? And the score is 7-0. It looked like the Lions are playing a very conservative game, but Minnesota, I don't know. Maybe they have the remedy for. So what they have to do so far, they would have to travel to LA,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Something you don't want to do. I mean, the Rams are damn good. They are going to be good. So anyway, that's the latest we have from the Sunday night game, which is, man, just a crazy game. Things could pick up there, but right now still 7-0 Detroit Lions. So all right, a lot of meaningless games today. So we're not just really talking about scores that we normally would do from week to week. We did that for the entire NFL season. So I'll just throw out some scores of games that just really didn't matter. Jaguars and the Colts. Now, what I will talk about with the Jaguars is, will Doug Peterson be fired? And all indications are that Doug Peterson, if he's not already fired, he might be fired. Now, he was brought in to work with Trevor Lawrence after the disaster with who's the coach?
Oh,
From
Urban
Ohio
Meyer.
State?
Urban Meyer.
Yeah, Urban Meyer. Okay, yeah, I promised never to say that name again. But so that disaster, right? So you bring in Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl in Philly. Okay, Doug Peterson gets fired because he, didn't want to play Jalen Hurts, and that's when management said, "No, you're gonna play Jalen Hurts, right?" So Peterson gets a job, and he's been there a couple of seasons now. Not the same Jaguars that we've used to seeing. I mean, they had some success, made the playoffs. Looked like this team on that team. AJ, so you think Peterson is out?
We've been asking that question since like week 10, but I think it's inevitable. They're probably waiting. Like tomorrow, we'll see something Adam Schefter reporting or Ian Rappaport reporting that they're parting ways with him, something like that. I just wonder who will be the answer to replace him potentially, because you have Trevor Lawrence, who you just signed to that contract. Who's going to be the answer to come in and really revitalize that culture? Those are some questions they'll have to ask, and really some other teams as well too.
And this is why it's so important to make good decisions when you bring these coaches in, especially when you're dealing with young quarterbacks. So now you got Trevor Lawrence, who's going to third coach, and that's going to be interesting. Things change. You get the scheme, everything changes. So we should see what's going to happen there with Doug Peterson. Like I said, tomorrow is Black Monday. Usually Black Monday in the NFL is when coaches are fired, or sometimes coordinators are fired, and all of that stuff. So a big question that I'm seeing here tonight, and text that I'm getting, is about Mike Tomlin. Will this be the year? Okay, we say that every year the Pittsburgh Steelers have a bad season, and they didn't have a bad season. They had a winning record, a lot of games early on to lock themselves in the playoffs. They were one of the first teams to kind of clinch the playoffs berth. It looked like at one time they would be the division winners of the AFC North, but no, they lose 4 games in a row. And at some point in time, you just have to ask yourself, is just having a winning season enough? I mean, you could give him those accolades every year. Mike Tomlin, winning record, winning record, winning record. But the Steelers are one of those teams that storied franchise with 6 Super Bowls, and I mean, it's I don't know, AJ, and the way they have just I mean, it looked like it was a good decision to bench the who was the kid?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. Yeah, it looked like it was a good decision to bench him and bring on Russell Wilson. It looked like Tomlin was a genius. Pickens get hurt, and the offensive coordinator just looked like they struggled to find an answer. And I don't know. I mean, this was if you're a Steelers fan, which I am, to see a team start off hot, lose 4 games in a row. You getting ready to go to Baltimore and take on the Ravens. Yeah, you don't ever want to play your division rival in the playoffs.
Right, exactly. And they kind of look like how the Eagles looked last year, how they were trending. But I will say another thing too, though. The Steelers, they had a tough stretch of teams they played against. Not an excuse, but they played against the Eagles, and they played the Chiefs and the Ravens, and then the Bengals, a desperate Bengals team who was trying to get in the playoffs. Obviously, they didn't. But
you got to beat those teams, though.
That's true.
You got to find a way to get
win 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want to go into the playoffs on this losing streak, and it's one and done.
Right.
It's going to be one and done. Where are they going to find the offense? The run game. Look, watching Najee Harris sometimes, man, I just want to. If I could just reach through the TV and slap the hell out of him, I would. Because he just don't run. I'm like, okay, it's just so predictable. You're going to give me 2 yards. You're going to struggle to give me 2.
Yeah.
Warren does pretty good, but they can't stop him. They line up. They give their opponents so much space on the field. And by the time you make a tackle, man, it's already first down. It's all and I mean, Baltimore's probably just going to shred them to pieces. I didn't even watch the game. I think I watched a little bit of it. I can't take it. Take it. I mean, because I'm a fan. We just don't talk sports. I know I'm supposed to be non-biased, but I would let you know I'm a Steelers fan. So I mean, I have to. But anyway, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, I was shocked to see like some of the big name starters still, playing today. I guess, it was a lot of incentives out there today too, AJ. And that's why we saw some players out there playing, Geno Smith. There's a lot of money riding on the table today.
Yesterday too with Kyle Van Noy with the Ravens, he got some extra bread as well. So, and Mike Evans too, having the
Mike Evans. Yeah. I mean, these things happen here. I get it, and it's kind of fun to talk about too, because I mean, players know. Well, we're not talking like chump change here. We're talking, a couple of $1 million here. If you make extra tackle, extra sack, and I mean, and this is why I don't know what incentive Jonathan Taylor had today, other than he's still trying to redeem himself after that boneheaded play he made a few weeks ago. But for the most part, I think Baker Mayfield, for instance, he got $500,000 if the Buccaneers made the wild card round, and I think he would make an additional $500,000 for each round afterwards. So I mean, is that not an incentive?
Definitely.
I mean, that's a pretty good incentive. Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans, he needed, because he needed, was it 85 yards?
It was 85 and he got 89.
And he got 89, and that gave him a $3 million bonus?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, yeah. Players know that going into these games. So Evans gets 89 yards and $3 million, $3 million bonus. And all of this stuff came down to week 18. So this is why we watch some of these games here. So you got the 2 players that Buccaneers going to have to pay up there. And Baker could still make some more money. Smith. Okay, now his contract is is interesting. Okay, so I think Geno Smith, he was to get $10 million. I mean, $2 million. I'm sorry, $2 million if he won 10 games or the team makes the playoffs, but I don't think that happened, right?
No, they won 10 games, but they missed the playoffs, of course. So
Okay. Well, it was an and or.
right. Oh, okay. So yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, he should. I think he
Yeah.
got it then, but I mean, he missed the playoffs. So
Yeah. So it was an and or. So he got $2 million game. So they did win 10 games. I just didn't know that NFC West was looking kind of crazy there for a moment. Or if his team makes the playoffs. So he got it. Yeah. So how about that? This is just interesting stuff here. And Kyler Murray, oh my goodness. So he came into week 18 with 550 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Okay. And I think if he was to hit 600 rushing yards with 6 rushing touchdowns, he was going to cash in. I think 750 if he got that. Well, actually, no, he just needed 50 yards to score and a score. So I don't know if he got that, AJ. And I mean, I know
I'll
the
look at it.
Cardinals. I know the Cardinals won today. As a matter of fact, they 7-24. So it was like one of those meaningless games, but not for some of these players because there was a lot of money on the line here.
Yeah, he didn't get that incentive. He only had 22 rushing yards and no touchdowns. So rushing wise, at least.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So it just he had 4 passing touchdowns, right? So I mean,
Right.
they had a big game there, but he didn't get the incentives, man. But yeah, this is just fun stuff here with these guys here. So we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to try to get some more updates from Detroit. Here, you're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on Houston.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we're at the bottom of the second hour here on the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5, getting you through the final week of the NFL regular season. Next weekend, we have Wild Card Weekend. Before we leave tonight, we will get you up to date here on exactly where those games are going to take place, when you can watch them. We have a score update, AJ, from Detroit. I believe it's 7-3 now. The Lions are winning over the Vikings.
Yes, sir. And how the Vikings essentially got that 3 was Jared Goff. He threw a interception that got tipped, and in the Lions territory, and the Vikings had like at the 10-yard line, I think. And pretty much the Vikings had 3 great opportunities to score. Every single pass was to Justin Jefferson. I mean, he had 3 great looks, and just him and Sam Darnold went on a great page. So they ended up kicking the field goal.
The Rams are waiting. The Rams are waiting. The Rams are waiting. So before we went on break, we were talking about player incentives. So you hear about this every year, and it comes down to, because we don't really keep up with it, during the regular season, but it gets interesting here every year. These players are trying to get some bonuses there. One today, Cortland Sutton. Now, this guy, he had a couple of things going for him. Now, basically, I think he needed 82 receiving yards to finish with 1,065 this season. That would give him an extra $500,000. So he had 9. So he got his money. AJ, I mean, this is just crazy. This is crazy money we're talking about too, and they deserve it. I mean, they meet these expectations. And look, this is stuff that's written in their contract. So man, these guys, they got great agents that's going to give them money on top of money. Okay, and this is great stuff. So, real quick, breaking news. I guess we can call it breaking news. What the hell is going on in Miami? First of all,
A lot.
not only does Jimmy Butler want out of Miami, but Tyreek Hill now wants out of Miami. What is going on? What is it about Miami that these brothers don't like down there? So we all know that Jimmy Butler wants out. He's suspended in the NBA, right? So he's going to end up with some team. Now Tyreek Hill, you think they talk to each other? Tyreek Hill has decided he wants out of the Miami area. So what is it? They shut down the strip clubs? What's going on in Miami? I need to know.
I don't know. I was just there a few weeks ago visiting for a few days. It was cool to me, but no, I mean, briefly about Jimmy Butler, I just think that they haven't set around a good team for him to, more weapons for them to win in it. For the Miami Heat, you see the Celtics and other teams of that nature adding players, and that's why he was frustrated with Pat Riley. But for Tyreek, I mean, obviously for the Dolphins, Tua keeps getting injured, so whenever they're injured, they don't have an adequate backup quarterback to, step right in and still get them to some wins. So I think that's the main thing there. But hey, I mean, he wanted to go there. He wanted to chase the bag, and he got it. And obviously, he got a ring with Kansas City. But now it's clear that he wants to win, so he's frustrated.
But this is look. I don't know. I thought that even with, you have to blame his coach. I guess Tyreek Hill might have a leg to stand on here, because there were times when whoever was quarterback, you have to get him into your offense. In the offense, and I know he's explosive when Tua is on it. He told us that him and Tua was going to be the next Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, right? So,
right.
And there were times whoever was the quarterback, Huntley or whoever they brought in, they just couldn't get the ball to Tyreek Hill, and I blame McDaniel, whatever his name is, Coach McDaniel, for that. I just think that you have to get your most explosive player involved some kind of way. So this is going to be interesting to see, because I know to everyone it's going to look like, man, the big baby makes all this money and he set his house on fire and all that mess. Okay, he didn't set his house on fire. Okay, I'm just that's not true. But anyway, let's hear from Tyreek Hill. What are you talking about?
This is my first time. I haven't been in the playoffs, man. So, I mean, for me, like I said, man, I just got to do what's best for me and my family, dog. If that's here, if that's wherever the case may be, man, I'm finna open that door for myself, dog. As I'm opening the door, like I'm out, bro. You know, so it was great playing here, but
You thinking about leaving here?
if it is, hey, if yeah.
Wow. One thing I know about talking to players in the locker rooms, I have, I don't know how this thing is going to blow up within the next 24 hours of, the Miami's eliminated, so it might take some steam. You can catch players in the locker room at moments like that. I remember when the Raiders lost the Super Bowl, and look, it's a chance as a reporter to go into the losers' locker room because you don't know what you're going to get. And the Super Bowl was big, and I hung out with the Buccaneers. Joe Jurvicious, Sapp, all of those guys, Coach Gruden. Talked with those guys. Had champagne poured on me. I mean, man, it was fun in that locker room. But when I went over to the Raiders locker room and I just asked, a simple question like, man, was you know, you think because John Gruden knew this team, he know you guys, he coached you guys, so I mean, and it just looked like, what's going to happen next year? And I can't remember the name of the player at the time, but he looked at me, I'm out of here. I want no part of this. This was embarrassing. We got beat 40, what was it, 41-21 in the Super Bowl, and because your quarterback threw the ball to the other team. John Gruden didn't have anything to do with that, right? But anyway, I remember in an NBA locker room in town playing LA, and Derek Coleman, he was with the 76ers one time, he left, then he came back. And simple question, AJ, that said they lose the game to LA, and I'd go up and talk to DC, right? Hey, DC, man, how does it feel to be back in Philly? Man, this place sucked. So I'm like, okay, all right. So what do we do here? Do we run with this story? Do we do we say Derek Coleman just told us that the 76ers suck? He didn't want to be here.
Just keeping it real, I guess. Yeah. Sometimes they keep it too real, though.
Sometimes, and as a reporter, sometimes you got to, a lot of reporters these days, they would run with the story. But I could hear in that soundbite, it sounded like that reporter was shocked at what he was hearing.
The truth for sure. Yeah.
Because you don't know. He said, "You mean you're out of here? What? Say that again." Sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get. But Tyreek Hill is not. He's one that's known for blowing smoke, and he took the selfish approach in this one by saying, I've never not made the playoffs or whatever, So, man, look at what happened to your team this year. Look at, you had injuries, you had the concussions, you had this, that, and the other. I don't know. I'm just glad that he was able to hide the matches and cigarette lighters in his house, so people won't burn his house down again, right? And so I don't know. I think he's, must know each other, man. There's just no way. But anyway, so there you hear it. Tyreek Hill probably hasn't even made the internet just yet. Tyreek Hill wants out of Miami. I mean, just what they need, right? So we'll see. But I don't know. AJ, I just think that they could have did better things to get him the ball this year. He must have missed out on some of those incentives. Okay, something must have happened, right?
That, and also when Tua was hurt too, though, like they couldn't give him the ball at all. Like, the offense was so stagnant, he wasn't really involved. They were trying to find multiple ways to get him involved too. So I understand it from that perspective, but yeah, it does look bad, like a little selfish, like you said. But I mean, hey, I get it. If he wants to go to another contender, it'll be interesting in the offseason to see the rumors of what teams would potentially be interested in Tyreek Hill.
Well, I mean, somebody's going to be interested. I mean, you look at these
sure.
teams that didn't make the playoffs; they're going to be pretty damn interested.
For sure, absolutely.
Somebody be interested. I can tell you, like the Titans are going to be interested, right? I mean, could you could you see him in Atlanta with on the opposite side of Drake London? And you never know. I mean, you look at these teams that the Patriots. Does he want to go to New England? Well, he probably need to wait. What about the Bears? Does he want to help out someone like Caleb Williams there?
What
You
if
know, I
the? Well, I
mean,
don't
it's
know how possible this is, but it looks like T Higgins is going to be gone from the Bengals because they can't pay everyone. And I don't know how it
mhm.
would be possible salary cap wise. But what if the Bengals tried to make a case for him and have him with Jamar Chase? That would be crazy.
Yeah, it would be crazy, and because you got the 49ers and you got the Cardinals, and do you want to put them out there with Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, so it's going to be interesting to see. And then the Jets. Now the Jets beat the Dolphins 32-20. So I guess this is where the frustration comes. I mean, because it was a real close game there in the fourth quarter. It looked like the Dolphins had a chance to get in there. The Dolphins needed to win to have a chance at making the playoffs there, but Aaron Rodgers got the best of them. So you know what? We'll take a break here. And then when we come back, I'll talk more about the future of Aaron Rodgers and what's going to happen. Play his last game today with the New York Jets, or his last game, period. So, all right, the last segment of the Mean Gene Show coming up, folks, right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we're about to wrap it up here, folks, in this fast-moving 2-hour show, first of the year. Once again, Happy New Year, Happy 2025. I hope you've made your wishes and hope everything works out. And And what do we get to start off the year is a cold front coming into our area. It's going to be cold tomorrow morning, 28 degrees. Oh, Lordy. All right. The AFC and NFC wildcard weekend schedules were released. And in case you missed it, the Texans will be hosting the Chargers. And that's going to be 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you're not able to go to that game, it'll be on CBS. The Pittsburgh Steelers will travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. That's Saturday night on Prime Video. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Sunday, it will be the Broncos, who had a great game today. Bo Nix and those guys are going to go to Buffalo. Man, I hope they don't get a snowstorm. It's kind of likely, though. You never know. The weather up there is always crazy. So next Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and that game will be on CBS, you get the Broncos and the Bills. And in the NFC, you will have your Sunday game 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, and that's going to be the Packers. They're going to go to Philadelphia and take on the Eagles. Sunday night, you're going to you're going to get a Sunday night game. You got the 3 seed Buccaneers hosting the Commanders. All right, the Commanders are going to have to go to Tampa. Not going to be an easy place to win. Yeah, a great place to play a playoff game if you're Baker Mayfield, because can't wait to see what the odds are going to be on this one, AJ, because Buccaneers, man, they play some great football down the stretch here. So that's your Sunday night game, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then Monday night, it's going to be the Rams versus the winner of tonight's game. You're going to get a Monday night wildcard weekend game.
The loser of this game. I said the loser of this game.
You're going to get the loser. I'm sorry. The Rams is going to play the loser of this game tonight. And, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be the Vikings. From what I've I haven't been able to watch much of the game, but just looking at the stats here, it just missing out on some opportunities. I think, they're in the halftime now, right? So it'd be interesting to see what they do differently to come out there. They're in the game. At least you're not seeing the explosiveness that the Detroit Lions are capable of doing, but I got to think they're going to be talking to their players too. And both defenses are looking pretty good here, but now it's where the offensive power is going to come from in the second half here. So the Rams are going to play the loser of this game, and I know everyone wants to see Detroit and the Stafford. That's getting old now. Okay. Be interesting though, AJ, if Jared Goff was to finally beat, Matthew Stafford. I think that's what people want to see, right?
Well, yeah, they beat him last year too, but for Jared Goff to go to Los Angeles this time, that would be
to go to Los Angeles, yeah.
That would be
yeah. So interesting, right? So we should see here how that's going to play out. But
also, if the Vikings were to play against them, it would be Kevin O'Connell going back to the Rams, because remember he was an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he came from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Yeah, it'd be really interesting. So, before the break, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers and what's the future of Aaron Rodgers. Oh, well, before I get into the Aaron Rodgers story, so I did want to remind you, if you want to come out next week and see me and Jacob Meadow. Jacob is not here today from the Coach's Quarters podcast, but we're going to be at Christian's Tailgate, Midtown. That address is 2000 Bagby Street, if I'm not mistaken, but it's in Midtown there. And so we're going to be there next Sunday. We'll be doing the Mean Gene Show live from Christian's Tailgate. So it should be fun. I think we're probably going to end up, let's see here. Well, we'll just have to figure out what the times are going to be, but just make sure you just come back to the YouTube ESPN page and just tune in Sunday night. We'll be on. We're gonna have to get the times right here. But AJ, it looks like because I see we're gonna be watching the Buccaneers and the Commanders game, but there's also going to be that AFC playoff game. Well, no, it would have been over by then, right? So we'll probably come on after the Bills and the Broncos, right? That game, yeah. So somehow we'll fit in there. but it's going to be fun here. But Aaron Rodgers, okay, what happens with Aaron Rodgers? A good day today. Uh, 36 attempts. He completed 23 of them, 274 yards, 4 touchdowns. And, this guy's played 20 years in the NFL, and I just don't know. This was not a good year. I think this whole Jets experiment just didn't go the way they wanted it to go. He ended up getting, Robert Saleh fired, which I thought was just the wrong way to go. So they finished the season with an interim coach, right? I don't think he's going to be the coach moving forward. I can't think of his name right now, but I just think
Jeff Ulbrich.
Jeff Ulbrich, he's not going to be. But this whole experiment, and Aaron Rodgers is a diva, and I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I do appreciate, his work on the field, and he won one Super Bowl, okay, but he's had, come on, this guy's over 60 something thousand yards, 502 touchdowns, 116 interceptions. I mean, that's a 20-year career. I mean, so he's a Hall of Famer. He's probably gonna be a Hall of Famer. I mean, whether you want him to be or not,
He definitely is. I know you don't
he's
like
a
the
Hall of
team,
Famer. I
definitely,
mean,
$1,000%.
I can not like the guy, but still give him his props, right? But I just want him to be. I don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers no more. I want him to be gone. I'm done with him. Okay. Um, and I feel really bad for the Jets fans who just they went out there. The Jets fans thought they were going to be he was going to be the man that take them to the Super Bowl promised land. It didn't work in 2 seasons. Now he gets hurt first play of the regular season last year. I mean that could happen to anybody, right? So all right, he heals himself. He comes back. He gets Saleh fired early on, and he demanded they get Devontae Adams over there. And look at the Jets fans, the whole city of New York. Both of your teams suck. The Giants are not in the playoffs. The Jets it's a big mess up there. Rex Ryan says he can fix it. Rex Ryan wants to go back to the scene of the crime.
Of course, he thinks that. I remember he was talking crap about the Cowboys earlier this year because he wanted to be the defensive coordinator there, and they didn't choose him. So he
He
thinks
wants
he
a
can do a
job.
lot. I know.
Rex Ryan
I
wants a job.
I admire their passion, but I mean, hey, I don't know if they'll do that. They're also hiring what's it called? I forgot the general manager. Oh, yeah, Tannenbaum. His
Yeah.
company to help find the coach too. So I mean, that is possible, I guess, because they worked together in the past.
It's just funny how
Like
people
comes
can
around.
recycle losers.
Right.
I mean, I like to see new people given a chance sometimes, but I understand if you've had success. And this is a crazy league, man. If you show any signs of success, then you're going to be hired by somebody in the next. The Lions have to be worried about, is it Aaron Glenn that he might be
I think he's gonna
a
be gone.
coach
Ben Johnson too.
somewhere.
Both their coordinators might be
Yeah, I
gone.
mean, it happens every year. And, I don't know how Andy Reid is able to keep, man, is the next guy up? Is the next position coach up or whatever, but it happens when these guys have success, the other teams are looking for them. So we'll find out tomorrow what the coaching carousel is going to look like and how that's going to happen. But so far, we talked earlier, Doug Peterson is probably going to be out. Gerard Mayo, after one freaking season, was fired by the New England Patriots. That's we started off the show talking about that, and we're probably going to end it talking about it because I am not happy that this man was only given 1 year and he's out of there. Okay, we saw what Chargers. Hell, he got a couple of seasons out of that team, and they threatened to fire him every year, but they didn't. He got a couple of seasons. And remember, they fired Anthony Lynn to get was it Brandon Staley?
Yes,
And the Chargers got nowhere.
exactly.
So and now you fire, it's just African American coaches don't have long. You have to go in there and win. You have to be the next Mike Tomlin. You got to show signs of being the next Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin might be fired. Who knows? Who knows what? I mean, who knows
I
what's
hope
going to
not.
happen? I mean, I don't want to see anybody lose their job, but it just seems like some of these guys don't get a fair shake. And, Bob Kraft wanted this guy. And after 1 year, what can you do in 1 year? So anyway, All right, that's going to wrap it up for this show, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week at Christian's Tailgate, Midtown. AJ, looking forward to this, man. The playoffs are here, and it's going to be exciting. So Jacob Meadows should be back with me next week. And AJ, who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Ravens.
It's too early to say?
Ravens. It's time.
Oh, Lord.
It's
You
time,
just
Lamar.
want to say
I'm
that.
sorry. It's time, Lamar. I want to see him win. Him or Josh Allen. But I would say the Ravens.
And our picks, I'll go over those next week when we do the show. So anyway, folks, stay warm in the H-Town area. We'll see you back here next week on the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 H-Town.
Waking up out of my slumber, feeling like Rollo, so follow. It's showtime, and it's Apollo minus the Kiki Shepherd. Bit about a hoe and a leopard, Brett, Teddy, Kindergrass, cooler than Freddy.